Okay, so let's start then by setting our posture. Oh, I better put my light on, it's a bit dim. So we're going to have our feet roughly hip width apart, spreading out the toes to make a nice connection down to the floor. And of course, we've got that feeling of standing up nice and tall, lifting and lengthening through the crown of the head without holding tension though. Hopefully soften the shoulders, relax the knees. Bring the hands onto the belly, and to begin with, we're just noticing our normal natural breath. So that's just quite soft and how we breathe every day. Then we're going to make it a little bit deeper though, so that as we inhale, we feel that bit more expansion, and as we exhale, that natural connection, that drawing in that happens as we breathe out. And we're going to stay with that, letting the arms relax. We take an inhale as the arms come up, and an exhale to circle back and round. So straight away, we're coming into that focus of breath and movement together. Inhale up, exhale away. Let's take a couple more through that direction. Reach, just start to feel the chest opening out a little bit. So if we're tight around the shoulders, that's going to be feeling good. We're coming last time, we're going to pause just here in the horizontal as we come into a nice little upper body rotation. So just like a normal basic spine twist, a little bit of softness in the knees, hips stay fairly still, and we focus on spiraling through from the tailbone to the crown of the head. We're just gently encouraging that movement through the back. So we're going to come one more to either side here, and then come back to center this time. Relax the arms down, give them a little shake and loosen, and then bring the hands onto the rib cage as we start to drop the knees in. So we're trying to stay fairly still in the upper body, but drop the hip to create a little bit of lengthening through the side of the body, and it starts to move the low back quite nicely, this one as well. We're going to do a couple more of those, then settle into the middle, so we're back in normal position, and then hands onto hips as we scoop underneath and stretch out. So we're finding those two extremes of posture where we're very round backed and then we're very arched. We'll do another couple of those, and then we'll settle into the middle. So we're just refinding our neutral, which should be where we started anyway. Now we're coming up onto tiptoes, so we float up, we float down. At the bottom, of course, we want the flexing action to make that opposite work through the toes and the ankles. We're also going to bring the arms now. So coming the opposite way round to where we were circling our arms before. We come up, over, flex. So we're lifting, releasing, and then just that little bit of foot flex at the bottom. We'll take a couple more through there, traveling nice and slowly as we go. So this will be last one. We're going to come down here into flex, bringing the arms back up as we now come into our side bends. So we're going the opposite way to where we were doing our little hip drops. We're still having length in the side of the body, but it'll be much deeper feeling now as we take the ribs away from the hips. Again, just keep that little bit of softness in knees. If you want the feet a little bit wider to make it a bit more comfy, that's okay too. And we're going to do another couple of these. Let's think about breathing. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Let's go. Last one to either side. And then from here, final stretch over, relax it down. Step the feet a bit wider so we can come into a nice easy twist, and just lifting up the back foot to make sure we're not stuck to the floor. Soft arms, loose muscles all the way through on this one. We'll do a couple more and then come back to the middle and relax. So let's roll the shoulders, shake out the arms, loosen out the legs. So we're going to come into a little bit of standing posture work before we get to the floor. So we are thinking feet hip width, we're standing nice and tall, normal good posture position. We're going to have our palms facing up for this one, so slightly different shoulder position, but really good for activating the back of the body. Now we're going to send our hips back. So first of all, we're coming down into a little sit down movement. As we stand up tall, into a nice chest open, trying not to bend or lean one way or the other. So it's bum out, arms forward, palms up, and then drawing back, squeeze together. As you come down into the sit down movement, you can of course just come as deep as your hips and knees will let you. So it might be a smaller squat that I'm doing. Even a small amount is going to be enough, because as we come back up, it's that squeeze of the bum muscles that we're after, as well as of course the squeeze of the shoulders. You might be going deeper, so you might be able to get really deep into those legs without toppling over. That's quite tricky. Just one of those for me, but it's up to you. We're just going to take a last couple of those. Looking good, very nice. So this will be our final one. Squeeze through the bum, squeeze through the shoulders. So we've got that full activation all the way down the back line. Relax the arms, give them a shake out, and we're going to head on to the floor now. So come on down and let's get ourselves ready to go into our floor work. So as always, when we come to the mat, you'll need to be bringing any props with you that you normally have, or you normally use. So particularly head support as we come to the floor. If you normally have that, then bring that with you. And when you are on the floor, just come and have a lay down with knees bent, feet on the floor, nice relaxed position. Like I say, maybe supporting the head if that's where you normally go to. We're then resting the hands onto the belly as we start to reconnect back into our breathing. It's always a little bit easier to get the breath connection when we're lying down rather than standing up. So we're into, of course, that slightly deeper Pilates breath, so that as we inhale, we feel the belly rise, and as we exhale, we're encouraging away. With that, we're going to pick up just a single leg to start with, although you can do this as a two-leg movement. We're going into a leg stretch. Pointed toes, lengthen the leg, and really focus on pushing out and away. Then draw back, hold the leg into that static bent position, and come into a little lateral drop without moving anything else. That's much more difficult than the straight leg challenge. So we're going forward into a really nice long leg, stretching everything out, and then we're coming into that lateral, which is much more difficult to maintain stability. And we'll keep alternating through there, probably doing about 10 of each, that is, and then change legs. Like I said, you can do it in a double tabletop position. So I'll stretch right leg, then I'll go lateral right leg, then I'll go left leg stretch and lateral left leg as well, of course. And then we just again keep alternating with those. So for both of the leg movements, the aim is to allow the leg to go as far as it can whilst maintaining a stable pelvis. It's just that the lateral position is much more challenging than the leg stretch position that we're quite familiar with. We tend to do, a lot of the movements do involve that sort of forward control of stability and creating length through the body. And the lateral, of course, the leg feels much heavier when it's travelling out to the side. It's much harder to control. So we're going to keep working through here. If you get to the end of your set, or when you do, you'll be coming just into your rest. Sorry, just putting my blinds up because it's weird when it's really bright outside. It makes it feel much darker in here. That's better. So yeah, just when you're done, when you finish your set, of course, just have a nice little release and rest for a moment. Yeah, just relax when you're there. You've probably still got a few to go though, so just stay with that breath. Check the shoulders aren't getting tense or hunched up. Soften through there. Very nice. Now when you do come to your rest position, of course, it may be that you want to do a bit of curling up, release the back. If the low back's tight, normally feels nice to curl up a bit. Maybe stretching out the legs. The legs work quite hard in that one. Or just totally resting would also be fine. Super duper. So that, of course, is very much thinking about that pelvis stability and that sort of traditionally what we think of as our core work in Pilates, using the legs to challenge our stability. Coming into, I suppose, the same sort of thing really with the upper body now though. So we're back into our knees bent, feet on the floor position. And again, we're just in that neutral position, set-up position. Being aware of the breathing again, so that nice connection into the breath. We will still use the legs here, but they're going to be a static weight, so it's more just holding the weight of the leg to challenge those deeper abdominals. So this could be either single or double static tabletop, whichever you prefer to do. We're bringing the arms up and the palms are facing towards one another. We're going into separating circles. So it's first of all that length, just like it was with the leg really, trying to encourage space and stretch through the body, but this time it's keeping the ribs connected more than focusing on pelvis. Once we get to that stretch, then we go into essentially the lateral part of it, which is sweeping around the side, making that big circle. We come up to the top, we cross over, and then of course we keep going. So with this one, you're doing them all the same way. So there's no alternating or changing. Keep going there, anywhere from about 10 as your minimum, could be up to even 20 as a maximum. And then if you're doing single leg work, of course, you will need to change legs at the same time that you change direction. So you basically just do half and half. If you're maintaining double static tabletop, stay where you are all the way through. We do work for quite a long time with these. The more upper body ones we tend to do for that a little bit longer, so you're getting that real feeling of just holding still and steady again for a longer period of time, so that more endurance of just being in position for a long time. But on top of that, you've then got this nice stretchy shoulder work, which is of course really good for our posture. So don't forget to breathe. Although you're setting your own breathing pattern, you're aware of that Pilates breath, and it's probably going to naturally just settle into a position that you like, or a pattern that you like to use. Okay, they're looking good. Okay, now you may be getting near to the end now, so when you're done, of course, it is just coming into that rest phase as normal, just while everyone's finishing off. Again, either purely resting, just spending a moment with your breath, being soft and gentle, or doing some stretching if that's where you need to go. Wonderful, really, really nice. From here then, we're going to be heading into our side lying work. It's a nice strong one today. We're going side kick. We've got a couple of variations, so you can focus on a bit more leg strength or a bit more stability. They're both challenging. I wouldn't say one is option 1 and one is option 2. They're just slightly different. So we're going to lengthen out first of all, as we generally do with side work. We want to find that posture, have a look down and check that straight line. You can either raise up your bottom leg or rest it down depending on how comfortable the hip is. We'll start with a bit of support and focus just on the one leg to begin with. So as we exhale, we're going to aim for a really big long kick, pointed toes, really stretching and encouraging. We then flex the foot to go back and we're firing up into those bum muscles. We've activated those with the squats earlier. So hopefully they're working nice and strong. So it's breathe out, nice big kick forward, breathe in. And this of course is working all through leg and hip very strongly, but also lots of abdominal and back supporting work. The other version of side kick is to lift away onto the hip, take the hand away and get both legs working. Now of course it's harder to balance when you're doing the two leg version because you're not holding support, but you're probably not going quite so far with the legs, although that's not to say it's easier. It's harder in a different way. So it may be that you do some of each of those and you split your work to have a go at both variations, or you just pick the best one for you. Either way, we're normally going for about, again, it's like this arm circles work, somewhere between about 10. We normally aim to get to 10 when we first start, and then we work on gradually building up the repetitions, of course, probably stopping at a maximum of about 20. And within that range, hopefully everyone's going to find their maximum. And also it will give you a chance that if you want to work on both variations and do a bit of each, you've got enough reps to do that. We always finish with stretching, of course. So although you've probably still got a few to go, when you are done, those legs are going to come into that nice long position. They don't have to be raised at that point. You can rest them, but still think of stretching them. Hand over head, pulling the arm over, really nice and long, whoops. Slightly deeper breathing as well. It's a good chance to just expand a bit more and get some really deep breath happening. And once we've done that for a few breaths, you may already be there just into a nice rest. Once everybody's stretched, we'll be coming to do some seated work next. So when you do come to your seated position, use your hands, push yourself up and just come and sit in the centre. So we're just going to find, hopefully, a nice comfortable seated position wherever is best for you. I, of course, prefer a slightly more relaxed hip position, feet together, but if you're comfortable cross-legged, that is totally cool too. Or even out would work well here. So I'm taking a wide arm, but a slightly diagonal arm, just to stop the shoulders getting hunched up if possible. We want that nice long neck, shoulders down, slightly glued into the back, these shoulders, so we don't let them travel when we're doing our twisting. So we inhale to prepare, of course, abdominal breathing, and as we breathe out, we're just coming round, 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 round. Spiral like we did in the warm-up, spiral from your tailbone all the way to the top of your head. Allow your head to look over, see if you can spot that back arm, but don't let this front arm drift across so you're still wide across the chest. Of course, once you get going, you won't be stopping there for as long. You'll be flowing, hopefully, freely from one side to the other. And just like I say, you're allowing the head to move freely. So in some of the more traditional work, like the Cossack twist, the head stays centered and everything is very still and it's very much mid-spine. Here we're trying to go more for that spiraling action, so it's a bit of a bigger movement up through. As we do it, like say, controlling shoulders, just even slightly drawing the shoulder blades together might help with that, as long as it doesn't force you into being rigid, because then your twist will be restricted. So nice straight spine, but ultimately relaxed, so that we can encourage that movement freely, just where we want to go comfortably. They're looking good, so we're just going to take another couple of those. And if you have finished or when you do, of course, relax down. Maybe you will still need to release the shoulders because as they're drawing back, they can get a little bit fatigued, and then we'll be heading back to the side kick, of course. So come on over and find your nice straight line position. Support your head in whichever is the most comfortable arm position for you. Look down your body and check that you're lined up. Float or relax the bottom leg, and then as you're kicking forward, you're breathing out. This is with a pointed toe. We're trying to get the legs as far as we can. We then flex the foot, squeeze the bum, draw back as far as you can without, of course, it pulling you over. So you've got your single side kick, really super strong all through the whole hip and thigh, abdominal area. Then you've got your scissor side kick version where both legs are moving. You won't get quite as much distance, but then you're going for a slightly different feel with this one. Much more about holding position without anything additional supporting you. So somewhere between 10 and 20 of either one or a combination of both. And then, of course, stretching at the end, but you won't be there yet. Okay. Good, very nice. So you're probably getting near to the end of your set now. Like I said, when you've done them, you'll be going into your stretch. If you've already done the stretching, or when you have, that's going to be for about 3 or 4 deeper breaths to give the ribs and everything a chance to expand and the body to really spend a bit of time in the stretch. And then you're just resting for a moment. When that is done, I think we're all done. So we're going to head over onto our tummies now. So bring yourself over onto your front and have a little rest here. We're going to set up today for swan dive, which is quite a technical one, and it has been a little while since we've done it. But I'm sure you'll all remember and be good at this one as well. So our start position is, as most of our frontline work, hands are just resting gently. The chin is slightly tucked in and I'm looking down. I am rested, but I'm not completely slumping. So I'm a little bit up just on the chest already. I do want relaxed shoulders here though, so just try and give them a little shake out first. And leg position is wherever's comfortable, so fairly relaxed, maybe slightly apart through the feet. Thinking about breath then, as we inhale, we're going to think about the ribs expanding. As we exhale, we encourage the breath away like normal. For this movement then, on the exhale, we start by engaging the shoulders. So they're coming slightly back and down. The chest is then extending a little bit more than it already was. So we're coming up into this slightly supported position. I could take my arms away here. They're not holding me up, they're just gently supporting. And then we come down, we allow those shoulders to soften here at the bottom, so they'll probably fall forward a bit slumpy, but then we draw them back again, shoulders back, shoulders down, upper chest extension. And you'll notice, hopefully, that there isn't any neck movement. The head always remains in the same position, chin slightly tucked, long neck, particularly think back of neck is long, crown of head is lengthening, and it may even help to imagine somebody pulling your head away from you, so you feel like your spine is getting longer as you lift up and down with this one. So the height isn't important, it's the length we're after, but having said that, you are able, if you are able to go higher, you can do it. You still start the same, Engage the shoulders down the back. Think of lengthening the neck and then just continue to lift. You'll gradually feel a bit more pressure coming into the arms, and at some point, if you're coming all the way through, you will have to push with your hands, but it shouldn't feel like loads of effort or that you're forcing it. It's more like that natural progression through. And then we float down, we soften the shoulders at the bottom, shoulders, chest, ribs, even the tummy leaves the floor, but we tuck the tailbone strongly downwards. Think of trying to do a pelvic tilt in this position, and that's where you'll really feel strong abdominal connection. So although it is a back exercise, mainly it's lengthening the spine, it's mobilizing, it's working the shoulders, the upper back, mid back, low back, legs. It's working and firing all of that up, but as you go higher, there is still definitely that really strong, noticeable abdominal connection. We did activate our breathing before we went on this one. I haven't given you a pattern to follow. Probably just start on an exhale, but then go from there. So a bit like with shoulder bridging, where we start with an inhale and then we tend to just let it flow. Same sort of thing here. Start on an exhale, but see how you go. See if you can settle into a pattern. Good. Now we're going to just take a little bit longer, so you have got time for a few more. So if it's still feeling comfy, great, carry on. If you have finished already, again, just as always, enjoy the rest for a moment and spend a little bit of time with your breathing. Very nice. When you do come down to the floor, just make sure that arms, head, everything feels comfy, so you can just release and relax for a moment. We'll be staying a little bit longer to do some lower body work here. Okay. So if we haven't already, we're now going to support the head with the hands. If you rest one hand on top of the other and allow your forehead to come there, that's generally going to be a nice position and comfortable for the head. Softening the neck, relaxing the shoulders, and we're going to start with both knees bent, so our feet are up in the air. And I'm not pointing or flexing my feet one way or the other, they're just in their normal relaxed position. So from here, I'm going to do a single leg pickup, so squeezing through the bum, push the foot towards the ceiling. Then stretch the leg away as you hold it up. Draw it back into that vertical position, and then release the leg down. Squeeze the bum, push the other leg up. Stretch away. We do a little bit of more pointing through the toes there to encourage, and then just relax the foot on the way in. So this is the opposite of one leg kick, where we start at the floor and we pull in towards the bottom. We're starting at the top with this one, and we're aiming to focus on really lengthening that leg away, and then it's slightly more relaxed as it comes in. This is going to be very strong, of course, in the bottom. We're always aiming to work our glutes at some point when we're doing our frontline work. So it's finding those glute muscles to pick up the leg, then it's lengthening into the hamstrings as we push away, and then they're working as we come back in as well. There's also a lot of supporting work, but it is very strong as well. Also a bit of direct work too with the low back. You could do this both legs, so you'd be pushing away, release, lift, stretch, release. Okay, so it does work for two legs if you want that greater challenge. If the low back is niggly, it might not be happy with picking up both legs at the same time, so that's quite a lot of weight to lift up. So yeah, either singles or doubles. I'm going to give you a bit longer But if you do need to rest, of course, always listen to your body and come on down. Very nice. Let's think about coming into our last few repetitions now then. So if you are still going, maybe just another couple or 3 to either side. Okay, very nice. Then we're going to tuck the toes under and give the hips a little wiggle. So we're going to get a nice little bit of loosening through the low back. Before we come to all fours, we just want to soften a bit there. So hips are gently rocking, upper body relaxed, nice easy breathing, and you can let the legs come into that as well. Okay, that's given us a nice little bit of release, but we're going to come up and stretch a bit more as well. So bring the hands in, pop up and take a little roll, drawing the tailbone under, drawing the nose under, and just creating that C-shaped curve as high as you can. From there we release down, so soften the elbows a bit, make sure the arms aren't rocking, and just take a nice little reach the other way. We're going to go up and down a couple of times each way there. Once you've been up and down a couple of times, if it feels good to stay there, you might want to do a few more. Otherwise, you'll be starting to come into your sideways, and you'll have plenty of time. So if you do want to do more cat and cows, there will be time to do them. So we'll do a bit of side to side as well. Once we've done a bit of that, then we're coming all together. So that's where you've got your freedom of movement. Then you can either pick any of those individual movements and maybe hold them for a bit longer, breathe into it if an area is particularly tight. You can move freely, putting it all together, just being very fluid. Or again, you can revisit some of the initial movements. It is up to you, but just be free wherever you want to go. Breathing just easily. Okay. Once we've done a good amount of releasing through the back, we'll let the shoulders have a bit of release too. Hands come forward, elbows slightly bent, bums either in the air. That's quite a deep shoulder stretch. You may have to limit how much you drop down there. Or you can come a little bit more long by taking the tailbone down into child's pose. And again, we're just going to stretch for a moment. Okay, we'll soften the arms and draw them in. They can now support us as we roll up. We'll start at the tailbone and stack up. We'll take a little moment to reset ourselves back up on the floor. So maybe that will be your chance to grab a drink if you need one as you're coming over and resetting. As we bring ourselves back to the mat this time, again, you may want head support if you normally do. So make sure that's in place. And then rest the head. And just while we're all getting set back in position, start to do a little body scan. Relax those shoulders. Think about your neutral pelvis. You're not scooping up, you're not stretching, you're just very relaxed there, and your clothes aren't going to be restricting you. We're connecting back into breath, of course. We always do that when we come back here. Taking that bit of time to reconnect with Pilates breath. From here, we're going to take our arms out into a big, wide, I suppose it's a V shape. It depends how tight your shoulders are, but it's basically not completely horizontal like a hip roll. It's not completely straight vertical. Somewhere in the middle, anywhere in the middle will be totally fine. With the breath then, we're going to draw a diagonal diagonal line. So just see that I'm turning my palm to face in, so it's my little finger that's coming across there. And as I do that, I'm trying to lift my shoulder up and then reach down, other side. So I've got this inward diagonal action with the arm. Now I'm going to add the leg to that as well. So as I reach inward and diagonally with my arm, my leg is much more simple. That's just coming in a straight line. Now I'm doing a bent leg at the moment, but it could be a straight leg. A bit more challenging, of course, because whenever we pick up a straight leg, it's going to be much heavier, so more challenging definitely to the back. You've got other options here, so you can curl up if you want to. Lift the arm, and as the arm comes sort of just into your vision and you start to lift the leg, that's where you would then be picking the head and coming with it. So that could be bent leg or straight leg, and then back down. As is always the case with any type of curling work, things like the 100, or we do different variations of this type of twisting work. And the head work, the head lifting phase is always optional. So we can always make it harder with the legs. If you don't want to do the head lifting, that's totally fine. So as the leg comes up, the arm reaches, you're trying to lift the shoulder up, but not necessarily the head. If you know your neck isn't happy with that, leave the head resting, totally fine. You'll still get lots of strong, deeper engagement. When you lift the head, it will activate more the upper abdominals a little bit, but mostly we're focused on those deeper center, deep core muscles in our Pilates work anyway. So working the outer abdominals is less important, but if you like to particularly feel them work, or you know that they have that work, if your neck is happy, you know, then you can do that head lifting. Okay, I'm going to give you just a little bit longer on these ones as we are still going. Really, really nice. So we're coming into our last few repetitions here now. So just taking another few to either side. If you've already finished, just as always enjoying your rest for a moment. That is good. Wonderful. Now we're still going to have wide arms for the next one, but they're going to come a little bit lower down. So we were in that big sort of V shape. We're now going to come the other way. Palms down this time into a slightly downward diagonal instead of upward diagonal. For this one, I'm going to come into this position we were at the very beginning with our lateral. So I'm holding a knee bend. Now instead of dropping outside this time, I'm going inside to create a strong twist. You can make this harder with a straight leg, but we'll start with bent leg and see how we go. Take a breath in to prepare. As you breathe out, roll both knees over. See how that feels? Inhale and come back. Now you can breathe either way on this one. So for the second one, try it the other way. As you inhale, twist. It's definitely more of a rib cage breath. And then as you exhale, return. Now you can work either of those breaths, so that's just totally up to you now. Straight leg, so if you still want more challenge, I think this one's quite tough already, but if you did want more challenge, it would be a straight leg. When you come back to this top, you're stopping right in the centre, you're not drifting out to lateral. So we've already been there earlier. So it's just straight line, neutral position, into your maximum twist, wherever that feels right, wherever that feels good for your back. And we've done about 5 now, so keep going, probably about 10, because of course we have got to do the other leg as well. So we're thinking breath, but like I say, it's either way, whichever you prefer. It's actually quite challenging both ways, this twist. So that going into it is quite tough, and then hoisting your weight back up is quite challenging. So that's why the breathing can work both ways. Okay, so we're going to stay there. I'll let you carry on. You're probably getting near to changing legs now. So yeah, however many you've done this side, just come and repeat it on the second side when you've done both of those, coming into your rest. Okay, looking good. Okay, really nice. So when you're done, just rest and relax for a moment. We'll all be taking a little bit of stretching and mobilizing together in a moment. So just chill, release, and soften for a moment there. Okay, great job. From here then, we're picking the knees up. Let's lift them up just into a fairly neutral position, slightly back in, but not too squeezed. And we will start to circle. So we're just going to roll. We've had a big twist through the spine there, but now we're going a little bit more into rolling and releasing, so much more massagey type feel. Just breathe easily with that. And go the other way as well. Feel that transfer of weight through the hips and then into the low back. Okay, now they're going to place down, feet down a little bit wider than hips, dropping together. Arms are coming up into the same thing really, drawing a circle around, but now through the upper body. So it's having that same effect of transitioning the weight across the shoulders, into the rib, bottom of the ribs, into the other rib. So we're rolling, like I say, creating that same sort of massage effect. Going back the other way, come across, down, around. Okay, this will be last circle here, and we're going to finish with the arms out overhead. We can then take the legs away as well, pointing the toes, making the body really long, stretch away. Take a couple of breaths with pointed toes. Take a couple of breaths with flexed feet. And then relax the legs, give them a little shake, allowing the hips to have a little wiggle, just like we do on our tummies. As we're wiggling the hips, we can let those arms just gently come around, and then we'll come in back to knees bent position so that we can quite easily roll ourselves over and push ourselves up. Coming into our last couple of stretches then, as we go forward push, opening out those shoulders. Let's take a couple of breaths there. Let's take it the other way, sitting a bit taller and opening out the chest. Okay, and release into our nice side bend. Make sure the bum stays on the floor as you encourage this one. Okay, let's go other side. Nice big stretch over. Okay, let's come back and roll the shoulders. And we are